The first rule of Fight Club: you do not talk. Well, you know the rest. It's the most quoted line from David Fincher's 1999 movie Fight Club, and one you've probably said yourself, or certainly overheard somebody else say. And yet to recognise the line, you probably don't even need to have seen the movie. It's one of them movie references that are just ingrained in pop culture. Fight Club is the definition of a cult classic, and although originally a financial flop at the box office, it gained a cult following in the years following its release, with sales in the recently popular DVD market proving very successful, packed with great special features and a slick cover design. The film is an adaptation of Chuck Palahniuk's 1996 novel of the same name, and director David Fincher was a huge fan of the book, before eventually being chosen as its director by 20th Century Fox. The movie opened at the box office in October 1999, right before the turn of the millennium and toward the end of what truly was a great year in film. It really is amazing when you look at the amount of iconic movies that were released in 1999, and Fight Club is right up there. There's something that always strikes me when watching Fight Club, and that's just how much that it feels like it almost defines filmmaking in the late 90s. And it hasn't got anything to do with the fashions or the technology of the time, but more that there are a few elements of the film's style and issues that the plot of the film deals with which were so typical of movies at that time. To begin, the film has a voiceover narration described by the unnamed protagonist. And while this wasn't a technique that was new to filmmaking, already featuring in a number of classic movies, dating back as far as Double Indemnity and Sunset Boulevard, it's something that seemed to feature in almost every great film of the 90s, from The Shawshank Redemption and Forrest Gump to American Beauty. And in Fight Club, I think it works really well to introduce the audience to the narrator's world of insomnia and automobile recall. I also think the narrator probably helps to make the movie's screenplay a successful adaptation from the novel. One of Fight Club's most memorable features is David Fincher's slick style of direction, with fast cuts and jumps to move the story along, and impressive effects to give the audience a glimpse into the narrator's thinking. This style of fast-paced narrative had become very popular in the late 90s, and can be seen in other movies of the time such as Trainspotting, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, and Doug Liman's 1999 cult classic Go. The influence on all of these movies by Quentin Tarantino's hit Pulp Fiction from a few years previous is quite apparent, with its punchy dialogue, graphic violence, and use of an unconventional narrative to tell the story, having a lasting impact on filmmaking throughout the 90s. The film's opening sequence where we move through the narrator's brain, exiting his body from a pour of sweat on his forehead, to finally reveal a gun being pointed at his head, or the camera sweeping through a trash can full of fast food and empty coffee cups, were some of the earliest uses of photogrammetry, a CGI first-person image-based modelling technique that used photographs to create airframe 3D models, which allowed for high-speed, photorealistic camera movements around objects. Although the use of CGI had become popular during the 90s, 1999 felt very much like the year of special effects, with box office hits of the year including The Matrix, Star Wars The Phantom Menace and The Mummy, all taking the use of CGI to new levels as we headed towards the new millennium. When we take the main protagonist of Fight Club, the unnamed narrator, we see a young white male disillusioned with the modern state of the world and unable to feel any desire to fulfill the role in it which is expected of him. He hates his job and finds it impossible to sleep. He appears to have no interests and attempts to fill the void in his life by filling his apartment with designer furniture. This theme of the disaffected male who can't relate to the world around him was popular in the late 90s, with movies from the same year such as American Beauty and Office Space featuring characters who appear to be at breaking point in their lives, dissatisfied with their jobs and unable to function in their relationships. But if I was to compare Fight Club and its main protagonist with any other film of the 90s, it would be 1996's Trainspotting and its lead character Mark Renton. The similarities between Fight Club's narrator and Renton are striking. Both young males who have decided to reject society's expectations of working a 9-to-5 job and subscribing to the notion that one should spend their life striving to own all the possessions that advertising companies tell them that they should. However, where the journey of the main protagonists in Fight Club and Trainspotting differ is that while Fight Club's narrator begins the movie working in that 9-to-5 job and filling his apartment with all the possessions that society tells him that he should want, before slowly disconnecting himself from it all, blowing up his apartment with all his possessions and eventually quitting his job. In Trainspotting, Mark Renton almost does all of this in reverse, beginning the movie having already rejected society's expectations and choosing a life of heroin addiction instead, or as he puts it, choosing not to choose life, before deciding by the end of the film that he was going to clean up and go straight, in the movie's final dialogue telling us that he's going to have all the things society said that he should, and ironically he would do this by ripping off his friends in the process. While Renton's escape from the expectations of society is heroin, Fight Club's narrator finds his solace firstly by attending support groups for sufferers of different illnesses that he doesn't have, and then through an underground fight club that he forms with his split personality Tyler Durden. And much like Trainspotting was accused of glorifying drug use, Fight Club has been accused of glorifying violence, and is often labelled as a film promoting toxic masculinity. But I think that's quite simplistic, and when you look at how the film's narrative plays out, with the Fight Club eventually spiralling out of the narrator's control and into an anarchic terrorist group, then I definitely don't think that glorifying the violence or promoting a culture of toxic masculinity was the aim of the film's creators. I find it interesting looking at the date of Fight Club's theatrical release, 2 months before the end of the 90s and the beginning of the new millennium, when we consider its theme of rebellion against a world becoming obsessed with consumerism and dominated by soulless corporate brands. Its message of people slowly becoming nothing more than drones, playing their role in the system of consumerism and corporate greed, really feels ahead of its time when you consider what was to come in the following 20 years. At the time of the movie's release, cell phones were only starting to gain popularity, and certainly weren't the must-have item that they would become in the following years. And while the internet existed, it was nowhere near as easily accessible as it is today. You have to wonder how Tyler Durden's speech about commercialism would sound in today's world of smartphones and social media, where advertising has become so sophisticated that it can target advertisements to an individual person based on their interests. And this is what I think makes Fight Club such a great movie, because while it does, as mentioned earlier, feel like a perfect example of filmmaking in the late 90s, it also feels just as relevant today as it did when it was first released. The ultimate 90s cult classic. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and don't forget to give a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments section what you think of Fight Club or any other movies of the late 90s. I also just want to give a quick thank you for all the support that the channel has gotten over the last few weeks, and I hope to bring you all lots of videos in the future. See you all next time.